Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
It's really cute. My husband burst into
Good afternoon. It is so great to see all of you. Welcome to the first ever Regional Leaders Workshop in California, sponsored by the California Emerging Technology Fund. We're so delighted to see all of you here today. We're going to try to begin relatively on time because we have a lot to accomplish, and we also have Secretary Ramos here. So Carlos is going to get the benefit of observing for a while, and then we will get to him on time. But we're really honored that Secretary Ramos has joined us today and to give us that special California welcome. I'm Sunny McPeak with the California Emerging Technology Fund, and you'll see a lot of my colleagues that are part of the CETF team around the table. We consider all of you CETF family. So you're all part of the family to close the digital divide in California and promote digital inclusion. The reason I wanted to get your attention now is because we actually have work to do. You should continue eating. If you enjoy the food, please go get more because we've already paid for it. And everyone knows that first and foremost, we don't want to waste anything here at CETF, that we're frugal, and we want you to have a lot of energy for the entire afternoon. You have a packet in front of you, and you also have that flash drive that has actually a lot of this information and additional information on it that we hope you will use a lot. There's a lot of empty space for all of your work as regional leaders promoting digital inclusion. As you will see in your packet, we have a theme for this workshop that we'll say over and over and over again. The theme is that regional civic leadership is key to closing the digital divide and sustaining digital inclusion. Regional civic leadership is key to closing the digital divide and sustaining digital inclusion. There is no substitute for leadership, no substitute for you, the leaders. And so just think for a moment. There will be about 100 of all of you in this room for 2 days. And if I were putting a conservative price tag on the value of your time, what is the associated cost for being here, what you're not doing back at home, I'm rounding that off to at least $1,000 per person per day. So we think there's about $200,000 worth of talent, brain power, and consultation in the room. And therefore, as a regional leader, one of the things that we know you can do is share with others and learn from others. So you've got actually that responsibility to be a consultant. We often refer to this as a learning community, but it is part of what we think is the essential ingredient in actually accomplishing the goal of closing the digital divide in California, and we know then sustaining this whole movement. You've often heard many of us say that to us at the California Emerging Technology Fund, the digital divide is just another manifestation of the economic divide and of the opportunity divide. And that while societies often have haves and have-nots, that in a digital world, not having access to high-speed internet, not having digital literacy is putting the have-nots further behind. It literally is a disenfranchisement of our most disadvantaged populations and our most rural and remote communities to not have access to broadband. So we're going to get the job done. We are getting the job done thanks to you. And what we want to go through today is really accomplishing these goals. So we have 3 goals in mind. First is to highlight the importance of regional civic leadership in accelerating the deployment and the adoption of broadband. And you'll hear these goals over and over again too. We need to get to at least 98% deployment, that is getting broadband out to at least 98% of all residences in California by 2017. And we need to get to 80% adoption by 2000, actually we say 15, because we want to be on track to get to 90% adoption by 2020, which is the goal in the National Broadband Plan. And so you'll hear this 98% deployment, 80% adoption. There's some other details that go with that, including that no one region and no one demographic group is less than 70% in adoption. Actually, in California today, mathematically, we can't really get to 80% adoption statewide if we don't get every region to at least 70% and every demographic group to at least 70%. Our second goal is share the lessons learned that you bring to the table walking into this room, and determine with those lessons learned that you glean from everybody else the strategies for the most cost-effective broadband deployment and adoption in your region, doing whatever you can to leverage resources using existing assets to get synergies. And so you'll hear from a lot of people throughout the next day and a half who have some of those assets to think about, from Civic, from the California Telehealth Network, from providers. So that's the second, is shared lessons learned and figuring out the most cost-effective way to achieve these goals, how to leverage assets. And then the last goal is to do a transition to a new era in California where the California Public Utilities Commission has the responsibility that has been delegated by the legislature and the governor to support and fund regional consortia to achieve the goals of the 98% deployment and 80% adoption. And this is somewhat of a historic day. When we began to plan this meeting, we did not have the benefit of what was going to be the calendar of the California Public Utilities Commission meeting today. We knew that we wanted to get everyone together at this point in time because the PUC was moving to make the decisions on funding regional consortia. We know that there were sort of 13 regions that got identified through the process, this open RFP process, application process that the PUC issued, excuse me. And on the agenda today for the PUC was 7 of the 13. They're still trying to get to the other 6. And we're assured that there is every intent to do that quickly. But we want to say thank you to the PUC. And this is this time to bring sort of a period to our work at the California Emerging Technology Fund and hand off to the PUC. And to be sure, you know us well enough that we're not going away. So we're likely to be a pain in the rear to a whole lot of you because we want to see you succeed and we want to share the lessons learned that we have gleaned from you with the PUC. We want to move forward with a partnership. So here's what you have as an assignment. In your packet, given that you are these high-powered, the high-powered, high-valued brain trust, let me say that, of regional leadership, we're going to actually gather from you, so you have homework to do, at the end of tomorrow, this first page called the questionnaire. This is also your worksheet. And it's going to be important for you to be thinking proactively, and you can add to this When we collect it from you, we will then do a compendium of your consultation to one another. I think it's going to be a very valuable piece of shared work around leadership and the insights to how to lead in your region to accelerate the deployment and adoption of broadband. So the first part of this should be relatively easy because this is early in the day. It is your name and region and title and affiliation, and then this important statement that we want you to think about, because when you do self-introductions, and we're going to get to that really pretty soon, we want you to be able to fill out the question of, let's see, I think we don't have that. The question of, as a regional leader in closing the digital divide in my region, I take personal responsibility to do what? So as a regional leader in closing the digital divide in my region, I take personal responsibility to do what? And that's what you'll stand up and say. On this sheet, we ask for your title. When you introduce yourself, you can include that if you want to, but you don't have to. So definitely your name, your region, your organization, because these regional consortia are really a confederation of organizations. And then you answer the question. As a regional leader in closing the digital divide in California, and you can probably leave out that phrase, but as a regional leader, I take personal responsibility to do something. So we're going to have you declare on the record. We are joined by Rochelle Chong, who is our chair of the Board of Expert Advisors of the California Emerging Technology Fund. She's going to be addressing you later today. So, excellent. Now, as you're thinking through this, and you'll see there's some other questions on your questionnaire, you do all of them but the last one today. The last one is so that you will come back tomorrow, and after the benefit of listening to everybody, having an exchange with colleagues from other regions and within your region, what you then think is the priority for your regional work plan. This is all about trying to get clarity as to priorities in your region, and that will be a big step to getting them accomplished. So look at your questionnaire, and I'm going to give you some additional background. In your packet, I want to draw your attention to the fact you have the map of the 13 self-defined regions. There is a workbook that we're going to reference, and in particular, there is a checklist in the back. This is a resource guide for local government and regional leaders for promoting broadband, deployment and adoption. And it has in it the survey of what local governments are doing, those that are doing a lot. Nevada County and Humboldt County, as an example, come up. Alameda County are doing things. You'll see what various counties and cities have done around broadband in terms of programs and ordinances. There is an example of what a local government might want to adopt or start with as a place to begin a discussion for a policy or an element of a general plan. And then this checklist leads to what are the 10 things you can do in a community to promote broadband. And it's sort of in descending order, and we'll want to draw your attention to doing more work with this resource guide. You have also in your packet information about broadband deployment. Darren Sanford will be addressing you later today with Mike Morris from the PUC, a newsletter around connections, and then the annual report 2011-2012 for the California Emerging Technology Fund. we invite you to look at that because it tells the story. The annual report next year will be highlighting and featuring this event. And so you are being recorded. If you're in this room, you've given permission to be recorded. We will be wanting to interview a number of you, capture the entire proceeding so that then you have it available. It'll be available on our website, but you will have it available to do further work in your own region, and that it is an historic record of where we are in California in 2011. So, with that, let me give you some more background about the California Emerging Technology Fund and our goal to close the digital divide in California. So you've heard this over and over again. The mission that the Public Utilities Commission gave to the California Emerging Technology Fund is close the digital divide. Close the digital divide in California. They didn't define what that meant at the time. We think intended that also we want California to be a global leader, that's implicit in all of the writings in the order to establish the CETF. So we make that explicit. You will hear us say over and over again, and it's in our annual report, focus, action, results. Focus, action, results. Focus on what we're doing, take action, be proactive, get to results, be accountable for accomplishing something. Because if we don't know where we're going, any road will get us there. If we don't know where we're going, any road will get us there. And that is one of the more compelling arguments that I've had the opportunity to make to the legislature in the last couple of years that got them to unanimously adopt performance-based management and budgeting. Right. They want to move to this notion of, pretty simple, can we tell the taxpayers, can we tell the people we serve what we're trying to accomplish and how we're going to measure success? Yeah, right. And so that's sort of this overarching theme you'll hear from us, and that we have embedded in all the work that we're doing. Now, I say that because you all just had to do an action plan and a work plan to submit to the Public Utilities Commission, and that indeed was a way of getting the partners around the table and trying to agree on what are we going to accomplish, what is that path forward. When we did that, or started that work in 2007, we have been in operation for 5 years. We started by listening to a lot of you. We went to all of the community-based organizations and leaders that were doing something in broadband and said, what's working? We did an entire literature search and then put together a strategic action plan, which is on our website. We also had to define what we meant by success. What did it mean to close the digital divide, at least in a foreseeable time horizon? And I'm going to go through that with you. We set a goal that we would take the $60 million that is seed capital, negotiated with AT&T and Verizon to contribute to CETF, and that we would leverage that fourfold. So we'd get at least a 3-to-1 match in our portfolio. Not every grant requires that. Some have less if they're less able or in a rural area to be able to attract resources. Some have done a lot more. We take responsibility at the staff level to get to that portfolio leverage, and I'm pleased to say that we've actually exceeded it. We are, the 1 to 3 matches that was our goal, we've exceeded and we're at 1.3 or 1 to 3.9. We also run pretty lean. Some people call that by other words. I refuse to be called cheap. I really think, it is frugal and economical. Everybody is stretched. We have, by all of the public audits, 96% of all of the expenditures are in program, only 4% in what is called support. Now, we can do that quite candidly and honestly because of you. We can do that because we invest first and foremost in leadership and existing structures that work. And that's also part of the magic that goes on here. Here's what we've defined as success that has now been pretty well embraced throughout California. In terms of supply, that is deployment, the 98% of residences. We've also added to that that we want to make sure we've got at least 2,000 healthcare, medical care facilities as part of the California Telehealth Network, because that's a deployment as well as an adoption strategy, and all Native American lands that want to be connected, are connected, and are connected to each other and to the California Telehealth Network. Okay, so that's sort of the big, if you will, headlines in terms of our definition of success, our focus on results for deployment. For adoption, it is 80%, as you heard me say earlier, adoption statewide, no one region, no one demographic group, less than 70%, and that we have increased accessibility for people with disabilities. Across the board, everything we do, we have a focus on people with disabilities and making sure that all of our partners are focused on how do we reach the populations who are disabled, how do we make sure that we've got universal design infused in every aspect of technology, how do we increase assistive devices and have accessibility. And then in terms of California being a global leader, we think that means we need a sufficient speed in the network that supports at any given point in time the prevalent consumer applications. And we chose a dynamic definition because we knew that technology would move a lot faster than probably we could, or certainly government, and that it needs to be functional with respect to how innovation has evolved and also how we compete globally. We want to see increased economic productivity because we've embedded the use of technology in all of the solutions to major challenges. You'll often hear us say that there's not a silver bullet, but there's silver buckshot for all of these big challenges. You know, I'm the farm girl, so I use those things, those metaphors. And that means that there's usually a critical mass of actions that have to come together to tackle any challenge, be it education, be it workforce development, housing, transportation, mobility, healthcare. And a part of that should be technology, that we should all be advocates for. Let's get the most productivity into the solution by the efficiency of using technology. We also want to see the use of broadband as a green strategy, reducing the impacts on the environment by offsetting as much use of our precious resources, and I say that looking at the packet we just gave you. So make it a precious packet. You may not get another one from us. If you're not going to use it, definitely give it back to us, but we think you should take it home and use it and share it and check it out of the library. But that's why you now have, for your colleagues and everything you can do in the region, you have it on the flash drive. And we give you permission to use anything on the flash drive, to modify it. Please acknowledge the attribution, because this is a movement about justice. It's a movement about economic opportunity. It's a movement about how do we improve the environment. And I think you're aware that we have planned at CETF to use every bit of the seed capital in the 10-year period and to go out of business. We're going to achieve these goals and get out of business. Unlike most foundations who try to live off of the interest, this was pretty small, I do say, and I hope I stop saying it, but for the benefit of this crowd, I'll say it again. To this farm girl, $60 million looks like a hell of a lot of money. But California is a big damn state. So try to go from Del Norte to Imperial County. Well, you can't really do it in a day unless you have your own private plane. Or from Modoc to Monterey, or Lassen to Los Angeles. It's just huge. It is one of the great, unbelievable opportunities we have of the tremendous diversity of California, geographic diversity, the terrain, the beautiful landscapes, the incredibly unique communities, and every one of the 58 counties is unique. Every one of the 481 cities is special, and there are a similar number of unincorporated communities, and they all have their particular approach to how they solve problems. And that's why, again, we know the strategy that gives us confidence we can go out of business and sustain this movement of digital literacy is because we've got you there on the ground in the communities. Okay. This is simply, and you'll see it in the annual report, how he said we're going to take $60 million and leverage it and get to success, and you'll see the top strategy is engage civic leadership. Yes, we do grant making. We front-loaded our grant making. You can read about how the strategies evolved to really focus in with integrated work, on the poorest neighborhoods going forward, the most remote communities going forward. We have a lot of policy initiatives because there needs to be an environment in which your work gets supported by policymakers, by government that has resources. We have developed a huge public awareness program called Get Connected. You have Get Connected collateral in your packet, and we have extra materials for you. You get a presentation tomorrow from Luis Arteaga. And then in the next 5 years, we've got to put together even larger strategic partnerships with larger funding sources. And so we're at a plateau where we know in order to have the resources to accomplish this job, we've got to strike some really significant strategic partnerships in both the public and the private sector. This is the regions as you've seen them, and now I want to give you the update. Where did we come from? How are we doing on deployment and adoption? This is our focus, our action, and our results. This chart is one we've developed based on the work of first the governor's broadband task force doing initial mapping about where broadband was and wasn't. And you can get into all of the weeds and technical issues about mapping and the size of the cell, and we could go on forever. I've been through all this. I do not want to bore you. I just want to assure you that we understand all the nuances and the imperfections of this. We took the work of our rural regions who did demand aggregation, actually did mapping, and sort of, if you will, trued it up to what that original mapping work was, and we decided that the best, most reasonable and conservative assumption was that there was about 94% coverage or access in California. And in fact, Mike Morris is going to give you today materials that are being seen for the first time by human beings. Or no, you are human. You've seen them. Yes, your colleagues are. So being seen by any human being outside of the PUC, you're going to hear that. And I think actually we're pretty much in sync. Because what this net says, because I've always got to focus in on what do we got to accomplish, is that if we were going to get to 98% deployment, and we started at 94, that meant there were essentially 768,000 households that weren't served. And we've got to get to at least about 512,000. That means we've got to have the resources to get to isolated, rural, remote communities to at least 500,000 plus households. I want to give credit to Alana O'Brien for these charts, by the way, and Darren Sanford. Oh, they are here. So Alana and Darren. And you can study them, but it shows the various funding resources and how we think we actually are on track to get there, and that there's been, with the California Advanced Services Fund and ARA funding, the federal stimulus package, American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, enough projects that have been supported that we're about halfway there. And in the California Advanced Services Fund is the new $100 million plus about half of the original $100 million that you're going to be asked to help the PUC figure out what's the most cost-effective way to achieve this goal. When we started and looked at vulnerable populations or key demographic groups, the lowest adoption rates were low-income households, 40,000 a year or more, and they were at 33%, and Latino families that were at 34%. So to achieve the goal of getting to 70% is a pretty heavy lift. The next were people with disabilities at 36%. We had rural that was even higher than everybody else, starting at about half, at 51%. And so these are, if you will, the key demographic groups that we have confidence in our statewide surveying that we can track and be rely upon and be confident that we know we're making real progress. The good news here is you can see that the solid lines, which represent the progress to date, are steeper than the dotted lines, which is where we have to go. That means we've already made progress that's more than half to the goal in a decade. The challenge we probably need to keep in mind is that we may have reached the easiest to get to. And yes, Denise is saying yes. And it'll be harder to get the last half of these populations. But this is encouraging. This is another way we represent it, so you can see the bars, not only the slope of the lines, but also where we've come. This is very good progress, and rural households are almost up at the 70% at this point. What we found is that over 5 years, the rural and urban gap has narrowed. As the infrastructure is deployed, it gets used. Okay. Here are the regions. No, they aren't. That's backwards. Here are the regions. And when we started, Los Angeles, a county with 10 million people, was at the lowest adoption, under half, 48%. Every region has improved, has increased. Now we're focusing on the Inland Empire, which has the lowest adoption rate of all of these regions. That's why we need your help, because you need to be really thinking through how are we going to get to at least our 70%. We want to be at 80. And this shows the bar comparison where we're really, with the Bay Area and San Diego, Orange, and this is because the Public Policy Institute of California includes Orange with San Diego and Imperial counties. You see that they exceed the 70%, and the Central Valley has come up to just about that level. The really striking thing is this is a chart about leadership. It's a chart about focus, action, results. In 2007, when we began, and the benchmarking we first did in 2008 compared to what the Pew Charitable Trust does across the country, California and the nation were equal at 55%. Today, California has now pulled 11 percentage points ahead of the national average. That happens because there is concerted effort. There's focus, there's action, there's results. And that's the, I guess, testimony to your work. The best testimony to all of the efforts in California is this chart. We want to sustain that upward trend and continue to be the national leader. A sobering chart to keep in mind, this comes from the Communication Workers of America, is that the speeds in California of our infrastructure are not globally competitive. This has, I think, a lesson in it to make sure that as we deploy into particularly rural and remote areas that we don't go with lower speeds than we're going to need in the long run, that we want to be cost effective, and that means the results piece of that, not just the price, is important. And we are ahead of the nation as a whole, but this has to be something we keep our eye on. With that, we're going to go around the room and do self-introductions. And so, have you written your comment? Yes, Arlene.
Hot off the press, the PUC passed a resolution for Civic Broadband Consortia, and we look forward to the other regional consortia.
Thank you for that announcement. On in the room? Okay, so while you are all still thinking, I'm actually going to go to our directors to welcome you and to say some remarks. And so they can introduce themselves. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. But I'm starting with Dr. Barbara O'Connor, who's our secretary, and she is a professor of communications. And I thought as I started this is the craziest thing I've ever done, which is to perform in front of my directors and a professor of communications. But Barbara.
I spent yesterday with John Chung doing the same thing, so it's okay. You did much better than he did, Sonny. It's fine. Just thought I'd tell you. We're delighted to have you all here. We have worked on these issues. I have for 45 years since I got my PhD at the Annenberg School, and then it was Fortran and Pascal, which I quickly forgot. And so you are using the tools that we envisioned then. And as Nicholas Negroponte was fond of saying, and really comes from Ithia de Sola Pool, these are technologies of freedom. And we don't ever want to lose sight of it. I mean, you know, we are at a tumultuous time in our country. And irrespective of partisan gridlock and divide, the technologies can help us deliver services, guarantee free speech, help us cut cost, make equitable decisions in education and healthcare, and we sure as heck need it. I've been on this board since the beginning, and one of the smartest things we ever did was hire Sonny McPeak away from the governor. And we promise to all stay on until we spend all the money, and either that or die. Those are our commitments to you. So my new commitment since I retired last August is on the National Board of AARP. And I just want to give you a comment or two. We do tons of studies about reemploying workers who've been laid off at 50 or downsized. And so the educational uses of technology there are critical. One of the things we're charged with doing in this inability to lead in Washington is help cut healthcare costs. And the California Telehealth Network and other such projects can both deliver good quality care to people who can't now get it and reduce the cost. So I promise to spend every waking hour helping you, and my email has not changed from the 45 years, so it's boc@csus.edu. And I'd be glad to help you individually, collectively, and thank you for coming and being our brain trust.
Thanks, Barbara. And now, our treasurer, who is a retired executive from the telecom industry and a volunteer with many other organizations, Mr. Rich Mata.
Good afternoon. I want to extend my thanks to all of you for joining us today. And I wanted to reinforce the critical nature of what you are managing. When we started, the unserved in California was a very critical issue. Yes, there are diversity groups that were unserved or underserved, but the rural communities were very, very important to what we needed to accomplish. I too, like you, live in one of those rural communities. I'm actually a resident of Tuolumne County. And so I have lived just as you have lived with less than available bandwidth, less than available services. And hopefully the work that you have been doing, the work that we've been trying to support you to accomplish, that is going to start to make a difference. And as we've already seen with the results for 2010, the delta on rural has been significant. And I know that's a large part due to your efforts. We are optimistic that as we look at it for 2012, 2014, that the rural is going to actually go beyond the urban. As was stated by Sonny, once we deploy in the rural areas, once we get the technology there, there is such a demand for it to leverage it. You don't have to sell it. So the real key issue in the rural area is to get it there, and once it's there, it will be utilized. So again, thank you for your efforts, and we look forward to working with you on a going forward basis.
Thanks, Rich. one of the people who most taught me about broadband when I was working for the state wrote a magnificent report on ubiquitous broadband for healthcare and education and economic development, and has been a pioneer in the whole telehealth, telemedicine area, has her own business now. Barb Johnston.
Thank you. I want to challenge this group. Have you ever met a person who has a more appropriate name than Sunny? That your parents knew what they were doing ahead of their time. I will be brief. I just want to say thanks to all of you from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of everybody in this room. When Sunny came on, we had such high ideals. We had these sort of normal board meetings, and we're talking about what we wanted to accomplish. And then Mike Peavy gave her the microphone, and she just went crazy, and she hasn't stopped. She just keeps going. I know how hard you all work. Actually, the board knows how hard you all work because she has this Sunny whip. She keeps us going. This is a hot, active group, and it's just humbling and fun to be part of it with all of you. So thanks so much.
That was very nice. Thank you, Barb. Daryl Stewart is here, who is an executive with Intel and really focused on education. And when he comes in, we'll get him. Other directors are going to be arriving. They'll make remarks. And Carlos, I want to check with you. I can have them do self-introductions or go to you. What would you like to do? Either way, you sure? It's your time. Okay. I actually think it would be good if you have the time to hear their self-introductions and hear the geographic spread of everybody in this room, and that they are taking personal responsibility to close the digital divide by doing something. And I think it's great because now you're not just saying it to me no matter what size whip I have, according to Barb. You're saying it to the secretary of the California Technology Agency, and we will have it on record that this is a pledge that's been made, and I know that Carlos will be able to call upon you. So he's taking notes, and okay, we'll just start here and we'll go around the room. So, Sean.
Aloha, I'm Sean McLaughlin. I'm with the Redwood Coast region. I'm the Executive Director of Access Humboldt, based in Eureka. We're the lead agency for the County of Humboldt. As a regional leader, I take personal responsibility to maintain an open, transparent, and accountable process, engaging community voices to effectively represent public education and local government interests, especially community anchors.
Thank you. Connie.
He would have something prepared like that. Hi, I'm Connie Stewart. I'm the Executive Director of the California Center for Rural Policy at Humboldt State University and with Redwood Coast Connect. And as a regional leader in closing the digital divide in my region, I take personal responsibility to work on policy issues and to work on getting broadband deployment in Trinity County. I also take responsibility to write the song at the end of all of these meetings, if you know that you will be singing tomorrow afternoon.
Thanks, Connie. I'm Shelley Hance. I'm the Executive Director of the Amador-Tuolumne Community Action Agency, and our region, the Central Sierra Connect, is Alpine, Amador, Calaveras, Tuolumne, and Mariposa. And I take personal responsibility to continue to develop leadership in our local area, because that is the foundation, and to increase diversity of our membership and continue to bring new people in.
Excellent.
Hi, I'm Brent Smith, the CEO of Sierra Economic Development Corporation, SEDCorp, and I think we were the second of Sunny's recruits. We represent a 4.5 county area that includes Sierra County in the north, represented today by Supervisor Lee Adams. Nevada County, just south of that, represented by Supervisor Terry Lamphere. Placer County, where our office is, and I think one Well, El Dorado County, south of Placer County, represented by Supervisor Norma Santiago, and representing one of her constituents, Carol Ann Ogden. And is John here? John Paul? John Paul from Nevada County. So Gold Country is well represented today. I viewed my job from the beginning, and certainly ever more so now, as facilitating the organization of demand at the neighborhood level and connection with the internet service providers to develop projects to deliver service to them. That's my job.
Thank you, Brent. My name is Kathy Emerson. I am project manager at Center for Economic Development, CSU Chico, and I represent the Northeastern and the Upstate California Connect projects. I was brought on to manage the broadband demand aggregation studies when they first started back in the summer of 2009, and thanks to an amazing amount of work done by my senior partner, Tom West, our awards look like they're going to move forward. I was completely and totally naive to what broadband was, is, and will be when I first started this job. My third day on the job was facilitating a very disparate group of internet service providers who were using the words backhaul and backbone interchangeably. I stopped the group and I said, but one's a noun, the other's a verb. Stop doing that! Since then, it's been a continual learning curve, and it's organizational events like this that remind me how important it is for us to grab the mantle, run with it, and pass it on. I take personal responsibility in galvanizing and motivating others so that our children's children will have a universe in which they can connect whenever, wherever, with whomever they choose.
Yeah, my name is Doug Thompson, president of the Desert Mountain RC&D. We cover 6 counties, Inyo, Mono, part of Tulare, part of Los Angeles, part of San Bernardino, and I think that's about it. We were asked by the 3 counties, Inyo, Mono, and Kern, to do the broadband study about 2 years ago. Last week I was at a program where I made a presentation about slaughtering livestock. Today I'm here. Tomorrow, next week will be a wastewater project to get water onto the farmland. So we look at every project as people-based. And broadband was something that we are underserved. We have really remote locations, and from that standpoint, we're going to focus on getting broadband to the smallest communities of sometimes 5 to 6 people. But that's our goal. So we're in the process of doing that. Thank you.
And you take responsibility to do all that.
Right. Every day. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Deborah Hess, and I ditto what he said. I'm the Vice President of the Desert Mountain Resource Conservation Development Council, and also the chair of the newly created Eastern Sierra Connect Regional Broadband Consortia. As Doug said, we got involved because it's very important. I live in a community of about 17,000 folks, and we are definitely underserved as far as the low income goes and the disabilities and such. In our community, we have people that are still using dial-up, we have people that have no access, and we have people that claim to have high-speed internet that if it's raining or snowing or kids get home from school, that you're just sitting there tapping your fingers. And so my commitment is I want to bring it to my community.
I'm Alice Lauritsen. I work with Desert Mountain RC&D. I was hired to work specifically with our broadband aggregate study. Back in, I guess, February is when I was hired. I'm learning a lot. It's been thrilling and exciting for me to be able to be part of this, and I look forward to being part of the next project also. So it's great.
And you take personal responsibility for doing what?
Yeah, to support them in every way that we can. We have, in my family, we have felt personally the benefits of telehealth and telemedicine. And so I'm committed to doing whatever we can to bring that to our area, and also to reach out to the tribal lands and the areas that are, we cover such a broad area that we have a lot of little communities that are hard to reach and hard to get to. So.
Great. So I'm trying to facilitate efficient introduction. All of the information is very valuable, and I hope we'll share more. I'm just mindful of the time. So, Don.
This is Sonny's way of telling me to be quick, I guess. Be brief. I'm Don Krzyzkowski. I'm the Assistant Director for the Center for Economic Development at CSU Chico, and associated with both Northeastern California and Upstate California Connect programs. Also, if I could digress for just a second, my background is in logistics. And for those of you in the military, you know what logistics is. It's not what UPS says it is, but it's getting to the warfighter the things that they need to do their job. The things I take personal responsibility to making sure I do is to make sure that I get my warfighter, Kathy Emerson, all the resources she needs to do her job.
Okay, Dawn, Sonny's telling me to be twice as quick as you were. Jim Dalgonis with CETF. We're a nonprofit that provides networking to education across the state of California. We're involved with our colleagues from Chico State and a lot of other folks in 2 of the Consortia projects that are just launching. But I really want to take a broader view in the commitment that I'm making, and I absolutely take personal responsibility for making sure that CETF will collaborate with any of the regions to try to combine our activities with activities of any regions to increase anchor tenancy and find ways to help solve the digital divide in the state.
Excellent. Thank you.
My name is John Paul. I'm the CEO of Spiral Internet in Western Nevada County, and we're part of Gold Country Connect. And our goal is to look at our role as a rural ISP in a post-UVerse world in order to bring ultra-high-speed broadband to rural areas and be a model project for that. And we've been working on that for 3 years. We're continuing to work, and I'm thrilled to be here.
My name's James Nixon, and I am a principal of Sustainable Systems. And together with Applied Development Economics, we are consultants to the East Bay Broadband Consortium, which is being developed by a collaborative of the Contra Costa Economic Partnership, the East Bay Economic Development Alliance, and the Solano Economic Development Corporation. And I take personal responsibility to continue to work hard to help the East Bay Broadband Consortium realize our 7-part vision, which addresses infrastructure, inclusion, economic development, e-education, telemedicine, social services, and e-government.
I'm Tom Carwin. I'm with the Monterey County Office of Education, including the Broadband Technology Opportunities Project that is conducted by the county office with several partner organizations. This is the only BTOP project in the country that's administered by a local education agency. I'm also with the Central Coast Broadband Coalition, which is one of the new grantees of the CPUC. And my commitment is to ensure that, or help to ensure that both of those projects work together effectively to sustain their efforts toward closing the digital divide in Monterey County and in the larger region.
Good day. I'm Dave Dolby, and I'm here as part of the Central Coast Broadband Consortium. I'm also the Assistant Director of Information Technology and Telecommunications for the County of Monterey. And I certainly will undertake to continue to be a technical visionary for the practical implementation of broadband into the rural areas of our community, and with accountable results. And that's the important bit. And I say that because we've been in the broadband business for 10 years, developing it for the county departments and for other constituents. So that is what we can do.
Hi, my name is Denise Rushing. I'm a District 3 supervisor in Lake County. My background is actually in energy technology and smart grid. I take personal responsibility to introduce high-speed internet access to our rural area by promoting Wi-Fi hotspots in public facilities and by promoting the local economic development value of broadband in our business community.
I'm Terry Sanders. I'm with from the San Diego Imperial Broadband Regional Consortia, and I'm with Imperial County Office of Education, and that office also has a role facilitating how K-12 operates in the California Research and Education Network with Scenic. So I'm listening intently to the things that are going on throughout the state because those impact our other COEs that are acting as node sites. I'm taking personal responsibility to support convenings in Imperial County to increase awareness and to collect community input on a policy to promote broadband deployment and adoption.
Hi, I'm John Charles. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Scenic. And I just want to reiterate Jim Delganos' commitment that Scenic is ready to work with and help, and I take personal responsibility to making sure that we collaborate effectively and efficiently with any of the groups, as well as the two groups that we're helping to lead.
Sorry. My name is Rebelin Williams, and I'm the Executive Director of Manchester Community Technologies. We're the Los Angeles Regional Broadband Consortia, and I take a personal responsibility to provide a technological environment to our community where they feel that they can learn by having access to the information at their own pace.
Good afternoon. My name is Sandra Davis. I'm with Community Centers Incorporated and in the Los Angeles County Regional Broadband Consortia, and I take personal responsibility to provide outreach to underserved communities, to listen to need and understand the need, as well as to continue to engage and educate for greater deployment and connectivity through partnerships and inclusion.
My name is Eric Sloan. I am Director of Technology for Manchester Community Technologies, part of the Los Angeles Broadband Consortia. And I have a personal commitment to responsibility to provide broadband access by deployment of Wi-Fi technology in public spaces. And after listening to Denise, I'm going to work with her too. But I'll work with anybody who wants to do some Wi-Fi.
I'm Steve Blum, TELUS Venture Associates, which is a business development and management consultancy specializing in community broadband. I'm with the Central Coast Consortium, and I just got back from the CPUC meeting, which was one of the most exciting things I've ever seen. Somebody giving us $450,000. So thank you very much, Sonny.
Good afternoon. My name is Milton Gaines. I am from Community Centers in South Los Angeles. I'm also part of the Los Angeles County Regional Broadband Consortia, and I'm privileged to be amongst such distinguished individuals today. As a regional leader, I take personal responsibility to educate, introduce, encourage, and model proper use, benefits, and purpose of deploying, urging the adoption of broadband services to all of the underserved and unserved constituents in Los Angeles County.
That means we're going to get the digital divide closed if you get that done. I'm glad we have someone to take personal responsibility for that.
Hi, I'm Rochelle Chong. I'm Vice President of Government Affairs for Comcast. I was on the PUC when we formed the CETF, and I can tell you that we told CETF to do nothing less than bridge the digital divide in California and to do it in 5 years. So I'm responsible for Sonny going crazy all the time. As a corporate leader, I wanted to take personal responsibility for my company in California, for which I'm responsible, to do intensive outreach on our Internet Essentials program to connect low-income families to $10 broadband access, and also to lead my company in doing things like connecting telehealth, telework, and e-education.
Excellent. And before you did, well, you did, but, and I apologize, Susan. Actually, you should also know that on the PUC, it was Rochelle who had the vision and introduced the concept of the California Advanced Services Fund. Chairman, well, it's President Peavy there, he's chairman here, but President Peavy was very supportive, and together they were able to pass it. But this was Rochelle's, the California Advanced Services Fund was Rochelle's idea. That's why they actually handed out money today. We built upon that, Steve, but you need to know where leadership begins is with individuals taking responsibility to make things happen. So thank you, Rochelle.
Hi, I'm Susan Estrada, and I have a consultancy called Aldea Communications, and we're associated with the Redwood Coast Connect project, the Scenics 1 Gigabit Bus project many moons ago, the Eastern Sierra Connect project, and also the San Diego Technology and Aging Coalition. And my personal responsibility is to ensure older adults have equal access to broadband and the gadgets and support needed to make it all work. Barbara isn't even here to hear that.
Hi, thank you. I'm Mike Donnelly. I am with Northeast California Connect. I am the chair and acting CEO of North Valley Community Access Television based in Chico, and I really appreciate being here. We are the people who I think will be one of the great benefiters of what everybody is doing here, and we really appreciate it. As Ms. O'Connor had said, we definitely think it's a free speech issue and also an economic development issue, a job creator. So as a community leader, I pledge to help support and advocate and bring community media advocates to the table for support and education, and also conduct outreach and try to encourage connectivity between regional media centers.
Good afternoon. My name is Erin Much. I am with Solstice Geospatial, which is mapping, so I might be the only mapper here. I work with Central Sierra, maybe not, Central. Okay, good. Central Sierra Connect and Eastern Sierra. And I really seriously take personal responsibility to address, identify, and try to fix broadband mapping issues efficiently, creatively, cost-effectively, and utilize mapping as a tool for outreach and analysis, and continue to maintain the value of this geographic information at the regional level.
A very creative compound set.
We're into compound sets.
She mapped it out first. Wait till she edits what you're writing. I'm Trish Kelly. I'm a principal at Applied Development Economics. We're an economic consulting firm based in Sacramento and Walnut Creek, and I've been involved on the broadband issue with Barb and Sunny since 2005. And I also helped organize a lot of the regional forum with our leaders, so I say we've come a long way in 3 years. It's fabulous to see everybody here, and I thank everyone who submitted to our flogging, because I think everybody sees why and how important this is. And then I'm also a consultant to the Sacramento Valley Vision Connect project and to the East Bay. So my personal commitment is to help catalyze engagement of new partners, leaders, and communities in the work of the consortia, and also in our economic development work to elevate broadband as a critical infrastructure for the 21st century.
My name is Martha Van Royen. I'm working with the Inland Empire Regional Broadband Consortium, and my personal commitment is to assist and promote collaboration among two very large counties, and bring people together for this issue, and also to promote Wi-Fi in public spaces and public infrastructure before it is constructed.
I'm Steve Reneker. I'm the Chief Information Officer for the City of Riverside and also the Executive Director for Smart Riverside. And my personal responsibility is to expand digital inclusion and broadband adoption in the Inland Empire area.
My name is Mary Lou Smulders. I'm Vice President of Strategy and Implementation at IP Networks. We construct fiber optic lines, and we are very near the completion of a 127-mile line, 40% funded by the CASF. Thank you. It was an incredible journey to find that 40%, and that really created the foundation people believed that helped me to find that other 60% in private monies when they saw that foundation. My personal commitment here today is twofold, very practical. Number one, I don't know everyone in the room, but we are very near completion on Humboldt, Trinity County. We're a pretty small company. It was a huge thing to swallow, but we're there. We are so excited. We crossed 2 national forests and biological studies, and it's been tremendous. My twofold promise, number one, I'd love to get to know everyone here. If anyone is interested in doing a design with me, we have a unique relationship with PG&E that we can ride on all their assets, and we can utilize that to make a design for you. We'll do that at no cost, a little personal advertising there, but we will do it, and it is value, hopefully. And number two, if we decide to go it together, I will do my damnedest, like I did on Humboldt Trinity counties, to find that other 60% and to apply for that CASF funding for you, with you, however we put that together. Thank you very much for being here. I was telling Connie, you invited me. I feel like it's a huge privilege to be in this room. Thank you.
I've been listening to Mary Lou talk a little bit, and it has been a fascinating journey, and some of the things that they've had to overcome are remarkable. It is worth your time to get to know this woman, to hear her experience and all of this. I'm Nancy Martin. I'm the president of the San Benito County Economic Development Corporation and a member of the Central Coast Broadband Consortium, and I'm very pleased to be here, and I'm happy that Steve made it here to share the information that we received today. Congratulations to everybody that received money today. I come from an area where on one side of the street you can have broadband, and on the other side of the street they have no idea what that is. So my personal commitment and personal responsibility that I take is I'm going to herd the cats, because it takes everybody to make this happen, including our political leaders, our business leaders, our civic leaders, those in education, those in healthcare, public safety, and everywhere else. And so my commitment is to keep them engaged and moving forward to create not only the vision of what our future is in connectivity and reducing and removing the digital divide, but also saying what is the next step, what's the next big thing, where do we need to be heading so that California stays ahead of the curve on all of this. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Carmen Gutierrez. I'm here with Youth Policy Institute. I'm the new assistant director. And as a regional leader, I take personal responsibility to make technology relevant and accessible to the communities that we serve.
Okay, so I'm Diana Rodriguez, and I'm here on behalf of the Los Angeles Regional Broadband Consortia as well, and I am the Director of Educational Technology with the Youth Policy Institute. We're the lead agency for this, for the Los Angeles Regional Broadband Consortia. I'm also a co-project coordinator. So, I'm very pleased with all the results from today's meeting. And my personal commitment to this project is just to really remain mission-driven. To remember what it is that we are all working toward, which is to close the digital divide, and also just to remain very responsive to the needs of the community. When we hold our town hall meetings, as we speak to people who are in this field, to just make sure that we are really listening with our ears and with our hearts, and really making sure that we are providing services that are going to be beneficial, and again, to remain mission-driven in closing that digital divide.
Good afternoon. My name is Mitch Drake. I'm Vice President of Operations for Sebastian, working as a network architect in support of CENIC's Northeastern and Upstate California Connect consortias. My responsibility is to, it's simple, is to design robust and diverse networks.
Yeah. And then get them going, right?
I'm Bob Sakai with the East Bay Economic Development Alliance and the East Bay Regional Broadband Consortium. My personal responsibility, or I will take personal responsibility for supporting the goals of our project as defined, but also to make sure that the diversity of broadband needs are addressed in the process, and that we are not looking just at our present needs, but we are looking towards the future and the ability to meet those needs in the future.
I'm Tom West. I'm a consultant with CENIC. I take personal responsibility to make sure that every effort is made to get true broadband to Northern California by assisting the leaders in the 11 counties that consist of the Upstate and the Northeast Consortia, develop and implement a comprehensive 16-county Northern California broadband plan that includes a regional middle mile infrastructure, 11-county wide backbone systems, and last mile community infrastructure plans for all the communities in those 11 counties. And then to assist and make sure that the citizens in those counties have access to that and adopt it.
That was good. That was both compound and run-on, but it was really substantive. And we want you to get it done.
She's the grammarian.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Nichols, and I'm from Western Sonoma County, representing Western Sonoma County. And we're part of the Upstate California Connect Consortium. I live in an area where only 50% of the households have service. And we really need to get on board, and this is why I'm here. I take personal responsibility to information gather at this meeting in order to assist our county's effort in developing our County Economic Development Commission's plan on broadband expansion into underserved and unserved areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. My name is Carol Ann Ogden. I'm the founder of a company called Interbond in El Dorado County. Quick couple of set of numbers. In El Dorado County, we have 82% of our workforce drives outside the county for a job every day, and the average round trip is 2 hours. We have a big problem. We have somewhere between 35 and 50,000 doorsteps that don't have service. First, I want to thank Sonny McPeak, because in January of 2009, I produced a 2-page think piece, which she waved around in a meeting and said, "This is innovative." Well, we're trying to make it happen now. My responsibility, and the thing I take responsibility for, is to get it fully funded and then hire the team that's going to make it happen, because I'm a great consultant. I'm not a CEO.
I'm Jim Moorhead, Broadband Alliance of Mendocino County. I'm the steering committee chair, and we are part of Redwood Coast Connect. I don't see Connie at the moment in here, but we want to thank Connie for helping to guide us through this effort, and we're delighted that we're going to be sharing in part of the grant that Redwood Coast Connect has been given by the PUC today. We have a group of about 40 volunteers. We have no paid staff at the moment because we're pretty much in startup phase. Our organization is a little over a year old, and we're operating as an ad hoc committee of the Economic Development Financing Corporation of Mendocino County. My personal commitment is to try to ride herd on these 40 volunteers who have got an incredible amount of energy. You're going to meet a few more of them here. And probably my number one priority is the broadband survey that we're currently doing in Mendocino County that's going to feed the database, to correct the maps, to show the real story of our lack of access in Mendocino County. The current mapping shows that 84% of our county is receiving the FCC standard of 4 down and 1 up, and that's just not correct.
Hi, I'm Greg Urach. I'm the chair of the Strategic Planning and Business Committees for the Mendocino Broadband Alliance. I'm personally committed, obsessively committed, some people would say, to building the organization we need in Mendocino County, putting the capacity back into the county that we need to have to be a responsible member, to be a responsible participant in this regional planning and deployment of broadband. Mendocino County is basically, as a county, is almost derelict financially. So without the large leverage we bring to the table through our volunteers, we really would not be able to stand up and be a responsible partner with you all.
Thank you, Greg. Pleasure to be with all of you. My name's Nicole Sawaya. My region is the remote outback of Mendocino County. My homestead is located between the town of Dos Rios, population 17, and the big Round Valley Reservation out in Covelo. I'm with the Broadband Alliance of Mendocino County, and I work with the Intelligence and Advocacy Committee and also the Outreach Committee. And my personal responsibility is show up, stay focused, given that Mendocino has no higher education institution or anchor institution, is also to keep our youth in our county and also to help educate people about what's really going on in Mendocino County, because there's perceptions and misperceptions. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Nicole. My name is Randall MacDonald. I'm Chief Technology Officer for Wild Iris Medical Education. I'm Second Assistant Chief of the CompG Volunteer Fire Department. I'm the Public Safety Liaison to the Broadband Alliance of Mendocino County, and I chair the Intelligence and Advocacy Committee of that group. My personal heroine is Rochelle Chong, who in the midst of defining and pushing forward policy for the entire state, took my tiny little community under her wing and made our DSL project a reality. I take leadership. As a leader, I take personal responsibility to contribute my skills, energy, and connections to expand broadband access and usage in my county, with an emphasis on deploying broadband for public safety.
Hi there, my name is Peter Code. I work for the Economic Development Department at the City of Santa Cruz, and I take personal responsibility to prioritize broadband as a strategic initiative both in our CIP process and our economic development planning.
I'm Jim Warner. I'm a network engineer at the University of California at Santa Cruz, mostly infrastructure work. I've been doing this for a while. I've been a participant in Civic since it was formed. I also work on Internet 2 projects and working groups. My personal commitment is to provide technical assistance to community organizations that want to work together to solve broadband problems in our communities.
Michael Morris with the California Public Utilities Commission, and I take responsibility to work with all of you to help get you as accurate information as can be had, and to help in the success to the extent we can of all of the ERA grantees and CSF grantees and regional consortia.
Hi, I'm Meredith Dowling. I'm the Vice President of Economic Development for the San Diego Regional Economic Development Corporation and a partner with the San Diego Imperial Regional Broadband Consortium. I was the Director of Community Development at the Regional Technology Alliance in San Diego in the early 2000s when we conducted the first study of the digital divide with the San Diego Futures Foundation and other partners, employed a number of services, revisited the issue in the mid-2000s, and it's my personal responsibility to make sure that our regional consortium actually becomes approved and part of the 7, we would be the 8, and get some grant funding so we can continue to do good work there. Thank you.
I'm Jeff Hancock. I'm the Executive Director of the San Diego Futures Foundation. In the last, actually I'm with the San Diego Imperial Regional Broadband Consortium too. In the last few years, we've connected about 5,000 homes to the internet that were previously not connected. Next year, we expect to connect another 5,000, and that's roughly 30,000 people who didn't have access at home before. We're the ones that are pulling Orange County up on the chart, by the way. I keep reminding Sonny of that. So we've got the deployment part figured out, but what I want to make sure we do is that we don't lose focus on the applications. So we have what amounts to a social network that we've been building in this community, and I want to make sure that we're using the technology and engaging the population in a way that will help us understand how to solve other problems, things related to crime, unemployment, healthcare, those sorts of things. So my personal responsibility is to focus on the applications.
Good afternoon. My name is Lori Panzino-Tillery, and I'm with the City of San Bernardino Economic Development Agency. And today I'm here representing the Inland Empire, I have to keep looking at it, Inland Empire Regional Broadband Consortium. I've been working in the telecom arena for over 15 years at the national, the state, and the local level, and I refuse to give up. That may be my personal responsibility. And my personal goal is to continue to bridge what I believe to be the essential local government issue, and I'm just going to take it all the way down, of utilizing economic development, fiber, and your local television networks and your cable companies to get the word out and to continue to educate and to reach all of our constituents. So my personal responsibility is to get San Bernardino off the bottom of the list.
Good afternoon. My name is Linda Best, and I'm the Executive Director of the Contra Costa Economic Partnership, and we're part of the East Bay Broadband Consortium, which includes Alameda, Contra Costa, and Solano counties. And I take personal responsibility to build consensus among the leaders and stakeholders in our region to take strategic action to close the digital divide.
Hi, I'm Christine Nutting. I'm the Associate Director at the Office of Community and Economic Development at Fresno State, representing the California Partnership for the San Joaquin Valley, along with Dejanay Shelton, who I saw sneak in from the Great Valley Center. We're both project administrators for the San Joaquin Valley, I'm like you, San Joaquin Valley Regional Broadband Consortium. Like Sunny, I am a Valley lifer, and I love it, even with all of our high unemployment, livability issues, and everything else. We've got a great valley. So, a lot of work to do in 8 counties. I've got to read this so I know it's not a run-on sentence. My responsibility is to pursue and accomplish and also surpass the goals of our consortium with a sharp focus on improving the region's economic vitality and quality of life for our residents. Very narrow.
Hello, everyone. I'm Arlene Krebs, and I've been nurturing the Central Coast Broadband Consortium for over 8 years, along with my brothers and sisters here from the Tri-County region of San Benito, Santa Cruz, and Monterey County. I'm also an Educational Technology Director at Cal State University, Monterey Bay. As a regional leader, I take personal responsibility to close the digital divide by writing comprehensive, inclusive, collaborative, and successful, noteworthy, award-winning grant applications and fundraising initiatives that support digital literacy, technology, and support services.
My name is Tara Thronson. I'm a project manager at Valley Vision, and we are the lead applicant for the Connected Capital Area Broadband Consortium, which is serving 4 counties in the Sacramento region. As a regional leader, I take personal responsibility to engage, convene, and grow a diverse group of subject matter experts, because we believe that this is so complex, it's not going to take one person to figure out the right solution. So bringing the right people together to create innovative solutions, both to increase broadband access and adoption. And in addition to that, not just working within our region, but working with area consortia that touch our region, because we know there's a lot of overlap between the regions. So working collaboratively with them where appropriate.
My name is Terry Lampier, and I have actually 2 commitments I'm going to make. One is I looked at the agenda, and I'm going to keep it short. The second is, who says government can't be efficient? I'm going to make remarks that will apply to I'm Terry Lampier, Nevada County. I'm going to speak for Supervisor Lee Adams from Sierra County and Norma Santiago from El Dorado County. And our commitment is to take personal responsibility to facilitate communication and encourage cooperation between our consortium, which is the Gold Country Connect, and our Board of Supervisors, staff, community, and private sector.
Yeah, 2 of us have commitments with CSAC because we're on the CSAC board, so we're going to have to run for a little bit. But my name is Lee Adams. I represent tiny Sierra County, 1,000 square miles with just 3,200 people in it. And my commitment is to stand up for those folks, speak for those folks. I'm a native San Franciscan. I'm also a frustrated historian, and I think of California's Gold Country's connection with San Francisco and its development. And this process is a way to keep that connection tight so that we understand each other. I also don't want to forget the 800,000 people that are in that 2%. If we're going for a 98% efficiency here, I'd love to see this get to 100, because that 2% represents 800,000 Californians.
My name is Norma Santiago. I'm El Dorado County Supervisor. My district happens to include Lake Tahoe, just so that you guys can be totally jealous of me. I also serve on the CEDCOR Board of Directors, just as Terry and Lee do. As a regional leader, I take personal responsibility to pass and implement public policy that aids in moving forward the deployment of broadband in El Dorado County and our region, and establish the public-private partnerships necessary to fund said deployment. In other words, I want to get it done. Go, girl. Big.
Ayuki na nithwaiti Terry Sapahan na karuk avan ara. I live in the village of Penumnik. Its modern name is Orleans now on the Klamath River in eastern Humboldt County, within spitting distance of Siskiyou County. Last year, my 22-year-old son said, "Dad, I'll come home to visit, but I can't come home to live till we have high-speed internet, and not satellite and not dial-up." So that's my personal responsibility.
My name's Kylie Crone. I'm with a company called Carlson Wireless Technologies, and I'm here under the invitation of Connie Stewart, and we are also in Arcata, California. We're committed to the development of technology used to connect the unconnected, and one of the primary technologies that we're focused on right now is TV whitespace technology. And my role as the product manager with Carlson Wireless is to make sure that everyone's aware of how TV whitespace is going to change the consideration of any network being designed or engineered, for the next year, or designed with the intent to be completed after 6 months from now. TV whitespace rules are final. The database managers are scheduled to go live soon, and the technology is effective, and it's going to be lower deployment cost, and it will connect everyone who was previously unconnected through microwave technology. We see this as the best potential wireless solution for connecting everyone, and so that's our role. Thank you.
I'm Jennifer Riggs. I'm with CETF, and I'm an investment officer.
I'm Laura Seidel. I'm from National Public Radio, and I'm here following up on some reporting I did 2 or 3 years ago about where things were in the state of California in terms of broadband. So I'm here to hear a little bit about your stories.
You cannot be anonymous in the room.
I'm a supportive spouse.
Erlene Thompson. We're so glad that we have supportive spouses who came along.
I'm with the CETF staff. I'm Alana O'Brien. I'm the Vice President of Operations.
Hi, Raquel Sinat with CETF in Los Angeles.
Darren Sanford, VP Technology Deployment, CETF.
Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Karp with Redwood Coast Connect, and my commitment is to make sure that money invested in us through CETF is spent on action to implement broadband and not promises.
Luis Arteaga, Director of Emerging Markets for CETF.
And Susan Walters with CETF.
Raul Garcia with CETF, and I'm the financial manager.
Audrey Chang with CETF.
Yanina Casillas, Choral Fellow and currently interning for CETF.
Glenda Humiston, State Director, U.S. Department of Agriculture Rural Development, and I'll share my personal responsibility in a little more detail later.
Yes, we're going to hear from Glenda.
I'm Karen Engel, Executive Director of the East Bay Economic Development Alliance, and I'm part of the East Bay Broadband Consortium, and I think my principal job is to support my partners, Linda and Sandy from Solano, and our wonderful consultants, Trish and James, but in detail to help move our whole region, which amazingly, as the home of 2 national labs, on the cutting edge of technology, we still have broadband access in equity issues. So we're going to be addressing that. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have 2 directors from CETF that are now back with us. I mentioned Daryl Stewart, who is an executive with Intel, has responsibility on education, and is one of our leaders on School to Home. Welcoming remarks from you.
Well, thank you. I'm glad that all of you are here today. I think this is an exciting time here in the state of California. Even in spite of the economic issues that we're facing, I think that opens up a lot of opportunity. I think from my perception, or I should say from my personal responsibility, I want to be as big an advocate as I can for closing the digital divide, especially for the students in the state of California, for not only their academic achievement, but I also think for our state's economic future.
And from Google, a new director, Leslie Miller, who has actually responsibility for state and local affairs for Google in California.
Hello, everybody. So I represent Google for not only California, but across the country for public policy. And I take it as my personal responsibility to make sure that Google and the private sector do what we can to close the digital divide. I know we have a lot more resources than any of you necessarily in the room, and we have a big commitment to making sure that we provide the resources when and where we can. And then on a personal note, I grew up in a very small town in the foothills of the Sierras, and my mom, who is retired, she is a volunteer on the local library in Amador County, and she is dying to get internet access at the library. So I have a personal commitment to that. And in addition, I know the folks from Sierra County left, but I have a brother who's a fish and game warden. And he lives in Downeyville. And they too are still hoping to get broadband. So I have two personal reasons to be interested and invested in this as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Leslie. The supervisors went to a board meeting of the California State Association of Counties. They're going to be back. They'll be back as soon as that's over and this afternoon. I think there's two faces sitting here who didn't introduce themselves yet. Yes.
I am Chester Robertson. I'm a county administrative officer for Modoc County and also part of the Northeastern California Connect Consortium. And we are down here rather than at the CSAC meeting because it's imperative for broadband access not only for rural residents, but for access for our hospitals and our schools. We are so remote in far corners of California that we see extreme value. In fact, Modoc County is widely known in the news around the country for some of its fiscal problems. A lot of that is correlated with hospital, and a lot of that is correlated with the potential for broadband access, and better access could have helped alleviate some of those types of issues that have faced our community. So we've made it a priority and a mission that we're going to participate through the City of Alturas and County of Modoc by joining the consortium and being active participants to try to better our community.
I'm Chris Robertson. I'm his brother, but I'm a farmer from Siskiyou County. I was an information technologist and I retired and moved to Siskiyou County. The Quest broadband line, the backbone goes right through my property. We have all kinds of wireless ISPs and ISPs that provide the last mile service, not AT&T. But I can't get the middle mile. So it's incredible. We have 45,000 people. No one can seem to find the opportunity economically to provide that middle mile. We did apply for some VTOP money. That didn't come through. And we were way up on the top of the list, but I don't know. So I've been joining everything I can to try to bring the middle mile to counties like Siskiyou, where we've got people standing up to provide that last mile. We've got the backbones going all over the place, but we don't have the middle mile.
Okay, I just have to say that when I think back on having been president of CSAC now 29 years ago, the CAOs are becoming really young looking. And I tell my staff, you haven't lived unless you've been to Alturas. You got to be to the county seat of Modoc before you've really seen all of California. Did we get everybody? You did sneak in. So one more person, I think, is here. So yes, Marianne.
Hi, I'm Marianne Leffel, president of the Monterey County Business Council. Sorry I'm late. We have a little Fort-Ord Reuse Authority hearing this morning that was taking precedent. But I'm here because we've got, kind of like you, we've got fiber everywhere, but business can't seem to attach to it. So for me, it's an economic development driver, and I don't think we, as economic development people, we can ever take our eye off of that ball. It's really the key to how we're going to grow our rural communities. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, will you give yourselves a round of applause? I mean, what an amazing collection And Susan Walters, our senior VP, has come in. Caesar Zaldivar Motz has wandered in and out. He's with the Southeast Community Corporation and the Los Angeles Consortium.